Welcome everyone, it's Michael DeHaan, the founder of Care to Grow, and I've got Tasia Valenza with us. So welcome, Tasia.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. I wanted to share just a little bit. So Tasia and I do have rescue dogs, so that's something we've
We're both rescue people, but
exactly.
thankfully, but yeah, oh wow, that's a wonderful connection to have because they rescue us, right? I mean, they're
Exactly.
the greatest.
There's a reason they're with us. So Tasia is part of this Women's Empowerment series that we're working with women in regard to empowerment, using their voice and visibility. So, and I'll go through what Tasia does in a moment, but I'm just so grateful to have you here. So there's a lot of value that you'll give to young women in particular around their journey and how to show up and be their best. So, as I said, very grateful.
My delight to be able to share my passion of women and men using their voices to the greatest effects and having the confidence and the power to know that their voice matters.
Yeah, thank you. So just a bit of an intro. So Tasia is an EMMY winning voiceover artist and master storyteller. So very interested in that. I think the key that what resonated with me is that you're a communication coach, teaching the art of communication, and that's just so important in regard to how we show up, how we use our voice, and how we get our message across. So I'm really looking forward to learning a bit more about that. And you're a TEDx keynote speaker, and I actually looked at and watched your TEDx presentation. It was amazing. So looking forward to, I suppose, sharing a bit more about that as well in this interview. So, and I just wanted to, I suppose, from that TEDx, so it was really around using your voice intentionally. Mm-hmm. And you've got some questions and some acronyms that we will go through in a moment. So I'm putting you on the spot there a bit.
It's okay. I've said them enough times that I have them memorized. I know I don't have to look at any notes for those, so I'm good.
What I thought we might do, Bud, is just get to know you personally. So just a bit of a story about yourself there, and then we'll go into how you use your voice and communication.
Sure. So my journey is, I call myself a recovering actress and a fully functioning voiceover artist, because I started out as an actress when I was in my teens. Actually, I was born in New York City. Both my parents had been actors and singers earlier on, and then when they had 3 kids, my father became a restaurateur, and my mother had to raise us, and also was unfortunately a bit ill. So I had the gene, I had the needy gene combined with the love of acting, because my parents were divorced. So I knew I wanted to act, but I did camp and school plays. I didn't get any formal education. And then I was discovered by a French director by the name of Louis Malle, who's a very well-known director, but since passed. And kind of basically was in the right place at the right time in an open casting call in New York City, and then within a day was flown out to Los Angeles and ended up being in a movie with opposite Sean Penn, who's a well-known, movie star, and Donald Sutherland and Christina Brandt, a whole slew of stars, and little old me, and I had to drop out of my high school play. So that was kind of the beginning of the trajectory of changing my life. And then 6 months later, I ended up on a very popular soap opera called All My Children that was on for 40 years. And so my acting life kind of took off. My school life was finished, and I was really good at acting, but also very insecure, and which was perfect for acting, just not great for life. Yeah. But I had a lot of drama to work from, and I was nominated for an Emmy because I cried so well, but little did they know I was not really acting. But anyway, I did that for 3 years, and then actually got let go. A soap opera, you're signed on for every 2 years, but every 13 weeks they can let you go because of the storylines. Yeah. And so I had my first kind of I went all the way up, and then that was my first burn and crash because I kind of had to start all over again. So I moved out to Los Angeles. I started waitressing, taking dogs, went to acting school, and then worked my way back up to working as an actress, but then also discovered voiceover, which was a form of acting, but only using my voice. And my mom was, again, one who said, you should do voiceovers. I didn't even know what it was. But once I started doing them, I had such an epiphany, such a revelation, because as an actor, the rejection is so steep. And of course, that's one of the reasons why my insecurity kept continuing. Because in life, we also feel that we're not enough. And as women, very much we're judged so much on, by Hollywood standards. And as a woman, I was always being told, you're not pretty enough, you're not tall enough, you're not thin enough, you're not blonde enough, you're not brunette, you're just not enough. And so I bought into it. And all of a sudden, when I was acting just with my voice, all my passion and my talents were channeling through me, but there was no longer, you are not enough. It was just, you're enough. And so it was this incredible liberation. And over 6 years, I started doing more and more voiceover, less and less on-camera acting. And then I got another soap opera for like 12 weeks. And I thought, well, maybe I could do voiceovers in soap opera, and realized very quickly that no, I hated doing the soap opera. And I loved doing voiceover. And my therapist mentioned to me one day that my mental health was going up in proportion to the amount of voiceovers I was doing.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
So I took that as a sign. I bookended my career. I left on camera. And 25 years later, I've been passionately doing it. Got married to the love of my life, have 3 beautiful children, and feel like that was like one of those pivotal right decisions I made. And then I've taken this passion to tell these stories, to give great voice, to move, touch, and impact using my voice. And my desire now is to teach what I have learned, not only to other actors and voiceover actors, but to the world, because I think the same things that helped me become that successful voiceover artist, I've been able to utilize in my real life, and it's my joy to teach it.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. And there was so much passion, so much energy that was oozing through there, but it got me excited. So
thank you. Well, you could feel it. I mean, I do. I feel so grateful, and I feel so passionate to share my wisdom, because I know it's very easy, actionable tools that people can use, and it really can help.
Yeah. And I want to, I suppose, talk a little bit about the TEDx talk. So it was around using your voice intentionally. Would like to sort of delve into that a bit deeper and get a better understanding, or for you to share some of your wisdom around what that actually means and some tips around that.
Sure. So, the premise is, again, to give great voice is to learn the art of confident, considerate communication, utilizing the skills of a voiceover actor in your own life, so you can play your professional and personal roles more successfully. So that's the principle. We all become voiceover actors. So to become a voiceover actor, you have 4 questions you always want to ask. And that is, who am I in this particular scene? Meaning, again, you get your description of the who, the mother, the friend, the sister, the daughter, the villainess. Yeah. Who am I speaking to? What's the relationship? What do I want? What is the success of the scene? Hopefully for both, but certainly for the person, the character you're playing, the role you're playing, and how does my voice and tone support that? So the 4 questions you always want to think about. So I always use the example, because I've played Poison Ivy in the Arkham games, which is kind of a fun video game series, and people are familiar with Poison Ivy, but even if they're not, she's a DC villainess. She's mother of all nature, hater of humans, but she's a seductress. And why is she a seductress? Because her venom, her power, lies in her lips. So as opposed to her superpower being her strength, she needs to seduce. So now we know who she is, who she's speaking to, her enemy, Batman, and she needs to get him close enough to kiss him and kill him. So she might not get him quite as close if she were to say, Batman, come over here, right? That's a repelling sound. It's not something that, again, supports that role in that scene at that moment. Yeah. So the voice and tone support that. So understanding that as the actor, great. But as in real life, we are multifaceted, magnificent beings. Yeah. And I play a mother and a friend and a wife and a sister and a daughter and a teacher and a speaker, multiple pet mom. These are all roles. And we don't, sometimes we think about in that role, we use the word role, but we don't think of ourselves as multifaceted roles, but we are always playing our roles either well or not well. In other words, when I speak to my husband, I think about who am I as a wife? Well, I want to be loving, the aspirational, the qualities, loving, kind, compassionate, seductive, playful, loyal, loving. These are all the aspirational qualities. Yeah. But in real life, sometimes I'm annoyed, bitchy, controlling, critical, because we're human, right?
Sure.
So when I say to my husband or my children, can you pick up your clothes? That supports the reactionary moment of annoyance, but does it support the ultimate relationship? Or could I just take a breath? Can you pick up your clothes, sweethearts, honey? It's like my husband knows exactly how I feel about him as soon as I've said his name.
Yes.
Honey, Harvey. Don't we all have that experience?
Yes.
Right. Exactly. And so when we are a little bit more intentional, we can decide and be conscious. How do I want this conversation to go? In other words, did I want him to leave the house and be annoyed and to shut the door and then have to call him up and apologize? Or should I just lilt it up ever so much? Yeah. Honey, can you pick up the dry clean? Harvey, can you pick up the dry cleaning? I mean, it doesn't matter what I say. The conversation's on its way. It's left the station, right? Yeah. And so often when we're in that mode, we regret, because the people act, especially the people that we love, after a while they act in kind, right? They don't just take it, or they do, but either way, it hurts the relationship. So how does that apply as a speaker? I'm so delighted to be with you today, Michael. I'm really so excited to be here today. Thank you for having me. Right? It's like, did I support? Yeah, the words say it, but did you believe it and feel it? Yeah. So it's understanding the role, understanding the intention, and then knowing that our voices and tone can support that intention if we're aware. The beginning is awareness, and then practicing, mimicking, borrowing from our favorite superheroes or animated characters or voiceover artists or actors that we love if we don't know the sound. Like, what does seduction sound like if I'm not familiar with it? So many actresses we can pull from, right? And the same thing, it's like, what does calming and soothing sound like? Listen to the meditation. I mean, we can adopt these qualities. We just have to start thinking, like, what does it sound like? And then using our voice as this ultimate beautiful instrument to play with.
Wow. I've never even thought about it like that, but now I can actually resonate with that. So thank you. I'm starting to think who I can play.
Right. Who can you play? Meaning, like, you're a wonderful host. You're speaking to people all the time. Yep. What would be one of your intentions when you're interviewing, whether consciously or unconsciously? How do you want to show up? You might.
I want to have a conversation where it lifts other people.
That's right. So your intention is to inspire, to educate, to motivate, to move and be warm. But, you unconsciously probably do this again very well. But probably if you look back from the first time you did this to now, you've probably gotten a lot better at it.
And I have done that. I have got a lot better, to be honest. So.
Right. Because that's the thing. It's practice. But the awareness is unconsciously you were deciding to do this. I want to, make sure I'm warm. But once you start thinking of yourself as a voiceover actor, you can really ask yourself those 4 questions. Yeah. And then say, when I go up at a Zoom meeting today and I'm speaking to my colleagues, how do I want to show up? Do I want to be warm and inviting, or do I want to be, disinterested and kind of like neutral to negative? No, be like, again, when we lean in, we're showing our body language. So communication, the studies have shown communication is 7% the words, and the rest is tone, body language. It's so about everything that we're conveying as humans. And now we're in these little boxes. So we need to overcome those challenges even more. We need to touch and move even more because we don't have the physical ability to do that the way we have been. So it's that much more important. But we can all do it. It's just a matter of starting the process, practicing it, filming yourself. And just a warm smile alone can make all the difference. Yeah. From hello to hello. They've done studies who's more likable with just hello. Just as soon as you smile and your warmth comes through, people find you more likable and they want to connect with you more. So it's these simple things, and just knowing that our voice is an instrument and we can tune it with tone.
I love it. I love it. Thank you very much. Very motivational.
Well, that was my intention.
I was interested in what you said before, after the first question was around how you're judged and you weren't blonde enough, or you weren't this, you weren't that. And I just want to ask you, like, what advice would you give a young woman that's sort of going through those same sort of issues? They're being judged around their worthiness. Do you have a sort of tip or some guide that you can give around what a woman would do there?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I wish I had known. I mean, I think it's that much worse now because of social media and Instagram. I mean, it used to be bad, but we had the magazines back then and movies to judge ourselves. Now it's a constant all day judging, and it's even younger, and it's more about, it wasn't even about likes back then. Now it's all about likes. So I really feel such compassion and empathy for all the lovely women, especially young girls, that are feeling that their self-worth is aligned with that. And I do believe we must counteract that with self-love, self-approval, self-love. And one of the components to give great voice is to first and foremost give it to ourselves, because we generally will be so much quicker to criticize ourselves than to say a kind affirmation. And I call it learning to speak the language of self-love, which is a foreign language to most people.
Yes, yeah. And we talked about an app that supports that. You've put together.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to co-found an affirmation meditation app, kind of in the spirit of Calm and Headspace, but I co-wrote each one and voiced each one, and it's completely, oops, sorry. Now she wants to go out. Completely free. And it's called Haven Guided Affirmations. And it helps to start learning this language, because, learning any language, we can't do it in our head. You can't learn it in our thoughts. We have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day just downloading unchecked. Yeah. And most of those thoughts are thoughts from the year before and the year before and the year before, and they become the majority of our unconscious, which drives us. Our conscious brain is like 5% and our unconscious is 95%, which is kind of stunning. We think like, I want to achieve this and I want to achieve that, and it's like your inner unconscious like, okay, you can go. She's giving great bark. I'm sorry. But the unconscious, and when we become conscious, when we can see like, oh, wow, I'm having a very scary thought right now, or a very negative thought, we can become the witness and then reprogram, especially like going to the gym for our bodies with an app that we can use daily to start saying very awkwardly, I am willing to love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I believe in myself. I am beautiful. It's awkward, but you do something like any habit, and you do it especially in a relaxed alpha state where you're in that very open, you can start that new programming it much quicker. Yeah. I kind of call it, another metaphor, updating the software. We run on programs that are 40 years old in our hardware. Yeah. Would we use a computer that's a year old without updating the software? No, it wouldn't function. Well.
I agree. And a lot of the people that I sort of look after, it's really the programming from 0 to 7.
It's 0 to 7.
It's a bit over 40 years ago, but...
Yes, but that's it. 0 to 7 is our programming. So you understand that. How do we update the software? There's different modalities. I happen to love this one because you're literally talking to yourself out loud, like learning a new language where it's very rudimentary, and after a while maybe you're a little bit more fluent, you can get to the bathroom and find your way, and then one day you're speaking the language. It's like it feels comfortable to say, of course I can do it, or that was a bad moment, but I forgive myself, and I can start again. So it's really taking the internal messaging and dialogue and overriding it with the external and giving great voice to ourselves. in the morning, in affirmations, in powerful, body language, and then in the relaxed alpha state. And after a while, it will start becoming our new programming. And we will go about feeling so much more confident from the inside and not, a caricature of playing roles that we really do feel like we're faking. We don't want that. We want authentic confidence.
Yeah. Wow, I've learned a lot, and I'm sure that people that are going to listen to this interview will learn a lot. So thank you so much. And what really resonated is that sort of self-love and the inner voice. That's important to bring out that outer voice.
It's the most important, if I can share that. Like if I can, to give great voice in all those, but when we start with ourselves and actually have a plan of action to change that programming to where we want to feel good, it is our right to feel good. It is not arrogant or cocky to love oneself. It is essential.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. And on that note, I appreciate that. And as I said, thank you for your time. I knew it was going to be a great interview. I knew that there was so much value. So, and
thank you.
So thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. And I hope that these tools can be of help. And I'm doing a challenge, my first Give Great Voice 30-day challenge that's coming up November 2nd. And it's something that I'm passionate about sharing these little programs. So if anyone's interested, otherwise they can find me. I'm on all the social channels, and I'm always sharing this passion of mine to teach. So I hope that people will connect and find me, because I'd love to support them.
Thank you very much, Tasia. Thank you.
Michael, it's a pleasure.
See you.